I'm 89 years old. I've worked with my hands since I was 14. I've buried people I loved. I've rebuilt myself from nothing more than once. I am not a man who cries easily. But there is one thing in my life that cracked something in me that never fully sealed back up. And it wasn't losing my wife. It wasn't losing my health. It wasn't money or failure or any of the hard things life threw at me. It was my own child. I never said this to anyone, not to my brothers, not to my doctor, not even to God directly, though I suspect he already knew. But I'm saying it now, because I think some of you watching this have been carrying the exact same thing, in silence, like men do. And I'm here to tell you, the silence isn't protecting you anymore. Maybe you worked 40 years at a job you didn't love so your kids could have options you never had. Maybe you showed up every game, every crisis, every phone call at midnight. Maybe you weren't perfect, but you were there. You were always there. And somehow one of them decided that wasn't enough. Or worse, they decided you were the reason everything went wrong in their life. And you stood there, this man who held the family together through things most people never have to face, and you didn't know what to say. Because nobody trains you for the moment your own blood looks at you like you're a stranger. If that's you, stay with me through this whole video. Because what I've learned at 89 is something I needed to hear at 50, and no one was telling it. I'm going to talk today about something men almost never say publicly. The heartbreak of being a father who loved completely and raised a child who chose to walk away. I'm going to talk about the guilt we carry, the questions we ask ourselves at 3 in the morning, the way we protect them even after they've hurt us, because that's what fathers do, isn't it? And I'm going to talk about the moment I finally decided to stop punishing myself for someone else's choices. No sugarcoating, no false comfort, just 89 years of honest reckoning. I want to be clear about something before I go any further. I was not a perfect father. I'll own that without hesitation. I worked too much in the early years. I was raised by a man who didn't say I love you out loud, and I carried some of that with me longer than I should have. But I showed up. Every single time showing up was required of me, I was there. I had 4 children. I coached Little League even when I was exhausted. I drove through snowstorms for school plays. I co-signed loans I wasn't sure about because I believed in them more than the risk. I lent money I never asked to get back. I held my tongue at family dinners when I had every right to speak. 4 children, same house, same love, same father. 3 of them turned into people I am genuinely proud to know. And then there was the 4th. It doesn't arrive like a storm. That's the part nobody warns you about. It comes in quietly, a tone that shifts slightly, a distance that grows but never gets named, visits that get shorter each time until they stop altogether. You rationalize it the way fathers do. They're building their life. They're busy. They've got their own pressures. You give them room because that's what you were supposed to want for them. Independence, strength, their own path. But there's a difference between a child building their own life and a child quietly deciding you don't belong in it. It took me longer than it should have to see that difference, because I was too busy making excuses for them to see what was actually happening. And then one day, the words came. I won't tell you exactly what was said. Some things don't need to be repeated out loud twice. But the short version is this. According to my child, everything that had ever gone wrong in their life traced back to me. My expectations, my silence, my way of doing things. All of it, apparently, was a wound they'd been carrying for decades. And maybe some of it was even true. I can look at myself honestly enough to say that. But here is what I know for certain. A man who worked himself to the bone for his family, who never once left, who showed up even when showing up was painful. That man does not deserve to be handed the full weight of another grown adult's unresolved life. That's not accountability. That's a transfer of blame. And I was old enough and tired enough to finally tell the difference. Here's what I've noticed about men my age who carry something like this. We don't talk about it. Not because we don't feel it. We feel it more than people realize. But we were raised to solve things or stay quiet. And this was something we couldn't solve. So we went quiet. We folded up and put it somewhere deep. We mention the other kids when someone asks how the family is doing. We change the subject when the name comes up. We perform fine so convincingly that even the people close to us don't know there's a wound. And here's the cost of that silence. It doesn't heal what's underneath. It just gives the pain a place to live rent-free for the rest of your life. I know men in their 80s who are still flinching from something a child said to them 15 years ago, still waiting for an apology that is never coming, still shrinking at family gatherings to keep a peace that only benefits the person who caused the damage. That is not dignity. And at this age, dignity is everything. Let me give you what 89 years taught me. Plain, honest, no decoration. Truth 1. Being a good father does not guarantee a grateful child. Those two things are not connected the way we want them to be. You can do everything right and still lose someone. That is one of the most painful truths in a parent's life, and one of the most important ones to accept. Truth 2. The child who blames you for everything is almost always avoiding looking at themselves. You became the explanation for their pain because you were available and safe enough to blame. Strangers don't get that role. Only the people who stayed do. There's something deeply backwards about that, but it's true. Truth 3. Guilt and responsibility are not the same thing. I made mistakes as a father. I own those. But I am not responsible for every scar my child decided to keep. At some point, a grown adult has to pick up their own life. That's not coldness. That's just reality. Truth 4. You do not have to earn peace in your own life. Not at 89, not at 70, not at any age. Peace is not a reward for perfect parenting. It is a decision, one you are allowed to make right now, regardless of what they think about it. Truth 5. Forgiveness is not weakness. For men especially, I want to say this clearly. Forgiving someone does not mean they were right. It does not mean you let them back in. It does not mean you pretend it didn't happen. It means you stop letting their choices live inside your chest like a stone you have to carry everywhere you go. I put that stone down. Best decision I've made since I was 50. I want to tell you about a specific morning. It was early, maybe 5:30, still dark outside. I was sitting at the kitchen table, where I've had my coffee every morning for 50 years. Same chair, same mug, same window. And I thought about my child, the way I did every morning, whether I wanted to or not. But this time something was different. The thought came, and then it passed, like a cloud moving across a window. There, then gone. No tightness in my chest. No rehearsed conversations. No asking myself what I could have done differently. Just quiet. I sat there for a long time in that quiet, because I recognized it. I hadn't felt that kind of quiet in almost 10 years. That was the morning I understood what forgiveness actually feels like. Not dramatic, not a scene, just a Tuesday morning with a cup of coffee and a heart that had finally decided to let something go. I was 86 years old. I want it to happen for you sooner. I'm 89 years old. I don't have time left for dishonesty, not even with myself. So here is the most honest thing I can tell you. I still love that child. I probably always will. That's not something age turns off. But I also know now that you can love someone and still refuse to let them diminish you. You can grieve a relationship and still choose to live well without it. You can be a good man, a good father, and still be someone a child chose to walk away from. None of those things cancel each other out. They're all just true at the same time. And if you're sitting somewhere right now, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, carrying something that was handed to you by someone who should have known better, I want you to hear this from a man who has been exactly where you are. You are not too old to put it down. You are not too broken to feel peace again. And you have not run out of time to decide what the rest of your life is going to feel like. That decision belongs entirely to you, not to them, never to them. Take it back. I have one question for you, and I want a real answer, not a polite one. Is there someone in your family you've been silently protecting at the cost of your own peace? You don't have to use names, just tell me, yes or no, in the comments. Because I think more of us are carrying this than anyone admits. And maybe it's time we stop carrying it alone. If something in this video gave you a word you needed, or a permission you'd been waiting for, share it. Not for the algorithm, but because there's a man out there, maybe your age, maybe older, sitting somewhere very quiet tonight, thinking he's the only one who ever felt this way. You sharing this could be the thing that tells him he isn't. That matters more than any like or subscribe. Thank you for being here.